just have like a tiny anatomy lesson each time. Where's my timekeeper at? Amy, I'm gonna set you as my timekeeper. Absolutely, I cannot go over 5 minutes. Absolutely, hopefully it's shorter than that. I can get a little verbose, so I'm like, I need somebody to be like, we're done with that part. Okay. So I chose to do a series of hip opening kind of towards back bending because I think when you unlock the hips, you help to unlock what's happening in your lower back at least, okay? And today's back bending is a high lunge, right? If you've got one leg back and you've got your chest up, I mean, you're already in a back bend here. So I'm not doing anything crazy. That's up to you guys to do some crazy stuff. And I just thought I would make a little review of the hip joint and talk about it very briefly, just in case anybody needs that reminder. So the hip joint, of course, is part of your pelvis, right? Your pelvis, and you've got your pelvic bones, which create that bowl, and part of that pelvic bone has the socket for your femur, your thigh bone, which has the ball part of that joint. So as I'm standing here, the socket, right, is in here, and then my femur, as I'm down here, it looks kind of like this. It's got the head of the femur, it's got a, oh, I'm on the wrong side, the head, it's got a neck, and my long bone here, and it sits right in here. And we are not all created exactly the same, right? Imagine if the neck of this is just a tiny bit angled one way or the other, how that might affect the range of motion you might have in your hip, right? So none of us are going to have exactly the same, and we don't have the same goals with that. We're all kind of born with what we have, and at this point in all of our lives, that's not going to change. The bone structure isn't going to change, right? Maybe if you were a tiny, tiny gymnast, then you could have a little flexibility in your bones, but we're done with that. So what's happened over time? We started with this, right? We started with whatever anatomy we were given, and then we became adults, and we did whatever activities we were going to do through our life, or lack of activities, or sports, or injuries, lifestyle, and it all plays an impact then on what your muscle structure is like, what your tightness might be like or not like, right? So I just say that because we're all going to look and feel differently, and some of us are never going to do some of the things that other people do. And that could be in all kinds of different directions because the ball and joint socket moves in all of these different directions, right? It's a huge movement. So there are several muscles that attach down into the thigh and affect the hip that also attach into your pelvic bones, affecting what happens in your back. And they also attach into the spine itself, way deep inside there. You can't find it, can't see it. I mean, sometimes you can find it. So it attaches into some of these muscles that are not muscles, bones in your lower back. Hence, that's going to affect your back bend, right? So we are going to work on hip mobility today and every day of this series in different directions. So I like to think of, and it's not the best analogy, but it's the one I think of anyway. When we're trying to get range of motion in one direction, which we need a lot of this range of motion, right? When we're doing any kind of back bend, we need this flexibility here. But I think of it like if you have a stick stuck down in the mud, like it's stuck down there, right? It's deep and it's stuck in there. You don't just pull it out in one direction. What do you do with that thing? Y'all know what you do. You're wiggling it this and that way and this way and that way and this way, and you're creating room in all kinds of directions so that you can go the direction that you need. Well, we're not going to treat our hip joint like a stick, but I want you to know that that's why we're doing some things that won't look like that is directly and completely related to a back bend. Timekeeper, how am I doing? Doing so good. Okay. 4 minutes. All right, I'm done with all that. We can talk about more anatomy next time. All right. So one of the drills that we're going to do today has to do with pigeon. And pigeon leg is, you know, kind of finding this bend in your knee, and we're going to take the opposite leg and bend it the other direction. So just pick any side you're going to do and see about getting into this position. For some of us, we might sit upright. For some of us, we might be leaning on that hand, right, to give us a bit of space. So we're not in pigeon completely. We've got the back knee bent as well, right? So we kind of think, maybe we could think about, oh, we're going to have about 90 degrees at this knee and about 90 degrees at this knee. Wouldn't it be lovely if we had about 90 degrees at the hips? We may or may not. And then we're gonna play around with a little mobility drill, and we're doing it right at the beginning because we're gonna do it throughout, and then you can see how you're doing it at the end as well. Where we try to keep our feet basically on the ground, and it's either hands or no hands to help you. We keep the feet on the ground as we twist and turn and turn and turn until we've basically done exactly the same thing on the other side. All right, this is just a starting point. Yep. And then come back the other direction towards me again. So, we're fighting to keep our feet-ish the same place. You're gonna fight extra hard in shoes. I'm gonna recommend you take those off. You're gonna fight extra hard, okay? So let's just do that a time or two more and kind of just see what that feels like in our hips. And maybe we have to move our feet. Maybe we need to support ourselves using hands on the ground. But just kind of see what that feels like and see how much movement and stretch you're gonna get into your hips doing something like that. And just back and forth a time or two until you're back to the top of the mat. And then swing that leg around so that you can become as comfortable as possible, right? So that's gonna vary for a lot of us, what we do with our legs to become as comfortable as possible seated. Hopefully you can do that stretch from now until next week. Like my idea here is that I'm just giving you one simple thing that you can kind of work on at home to see what kind of changes can occur, right? For some of us, that's gonna be a little bit or a lot of it, right? So let's start here seated. We're gonna incorporate that and many other things into our flow today. We'll try to be as tall as we can so you can use your hands somewhere on your legs to pull your spine up tall. Take a deep full inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Come over your knees until you're on your hands and knees. And we're gonna go right into cat-cow here. Inhaling, drop the belly, open the chest, pull your shoulder blades towards each other. On your exhale, round the spine, gaze back between your thighs to your navel. Inhale, open the chest. Exhale, round the spine. Inhale, open the chest. Exhale, round the spine, stay there, and then push back into child's pose, pushing into those heels, maybe tenting the fingers or keeping the elbows off the ground, maybe not. Big stretch, tops of the feet, as well as opening into the hips and low back. Take another deep inhale here, and exhale. On your next inhale, come back to your hands and knees in tabletop. And let's begin some hip circles. So we'll bring that right knee kind of in towards the chest, then out to the side, back up to the sky, and around. Let's stay in this circle, about 3 times, and then we'll go the other direction. Just as much as you're able, maybe beginning to think about really pulling the belly in to support you. Let's switch directions and go the opposite way with that circle. Maybe thinking about sort of squaring the hips, right? At least controlling how much the hips move out of alignment. And then release that knee down to the ground. Inhale, open the chest. Exhale, round the spine. Push back into your child's pose again. Maybe you're able to push a little bit more with your arms. Take a deep inhale and exhale. Come forward onto your hands and knees. Same thing, other side. Left knee is coming in towards the chest, then out to the side, up and around as we circle the hips. Belly pulled in. And then reverse your circle. And release the knee. Inhale, open the chest. Exhale, round the spine. This time, curl the toes. Let's come into our first down dog. So the knees might stay nice and bent, or you might straighten them. You might find a little wiggling or moving around. And as you're ready, look to the top of the mat. Begin to walk feet to hands. And then bend the knees generously so you can round it up as you come up to standing. Reach the arms up overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. With all our back bends, we want to open the shoulders as well. Inhale, really reach behind you, opening up, maybe gaze shift up, palms together. Exhale, hands to heart center. Belly pulled in as you again inhale, sweep the arms up and around. Press the palms together at the top. Exhale, hands to heart center one more time. I'm always surprised how much that increases my heart rate too. And on an exhale, hands to heart center. Let's take a nice deep breath in and release that as you exhale out. On your inhale, sweep the arms up overhead, hands to heart center. Pick up the back leg coming into warrior three. So a little bit of standing balance, activating that right hip. Maybe we need to drop the left hip down just a little bit, and then we're gonna land softly towards the back of the mat in our high lunge. So if you don't land as far back as you would like, that's fine. Wiggle until you get that length that you might like. Let's keep hands at heart center. Active through that back leg like your back hamstring is reaching to the sky, opening the front of the thigh. And now everybody take that left hip bone and pull it towards the top of the mat. Let it release out, kind of opening the hips. And again, pull it to the top of the mat. Let it release. Pull to the top of the mat, keep it there. Inhale, reach the arms up overhead. See if you can keep that hip pulled to the top of the mat. And then release hands to the ground and drop the back knee. Inhale as you come upright, hands to the hips. Same action we're gonna do here where we're pulling that left hip bone towards the top of the mat and then releasing and opening that up. So we're just getting that little bit of a twist in the pelvis to open up the front of the hip. Small movement here at the beginning. One more time. Let's keep it forward as we reach the arms up overhead, opening up that stretch even more. And then release hands to the ground. Step back to down dog. Take as many steps as you need. Pedal it out if you'd like to. Wiggle it out. Wave it out to plank. So I always have to bring my feet a little further away from my hands as I wave it out to plank. Hug the right knee in towards your chest and then take that leg out to the side like you're doing tree and plank. Bring it back to your chest, come back to plank, down dog. Wave it out to plank. Knee to chest. Take the leg out to the side, bring it back to the chest. Down dog, you can bring the foot down or reach it to the sky three-legged. Hug the knee into the chest as you wave it out to plank. Last time, this side. Out to that tree, back to knee to chest, three-legged down dog or regular down dog, and then release your foot. If you're in three-legged, look to the top of the mat. Walk your feet to your hands, knees bent generously so you can round it up when you come up to standing. Reach the arms up overhead. Cactus the arms, opening up those shoulder joints. Sweep around, really let those shoulder blades come apart and then reach overhead. Cactus the arms, find that opening in the chest. One more time, add the gaze shift if you want to. You can look overhead and open up the neck. Come back to center, hands to heart center. Take a nice deep inhale and exhale. Other side. We're going to reach the right leg back into that warrior three. Thinking about squaring the hip, pulling the belly in. Hold it for a moment, really activating that hip, aren't we? And then step back into your lunge. This is around where we're really focusing on a tiny, tiny movement. We'll just pull that right hip forward towards the top of the mat and then let it open up. Now don't forget to hold that belly up and in. Pull that hip forward, let it open a bit. One more time, pull it forward, keep it there, reach the arms up overhead. You should feel a bigger stretch when you do that. Release your hands down to the ground, drop your back knee. We're looking for about 90 degrees, 90 degrees, 90 degrees, right? We're trying. Right hip is going to come forward, tiny movement again, belly pulled up and in. And then let it release. I'm going to have my hands here so I can feel that right hip bone come forward and back. Forward, tiny movement, and back. One more time, we'll keep it forward. Add the arms, get an additional stretch, reach overhead. And then release your hands to the ground. Step back, downward facing dog. Maybe a little wiggling out, yeah? Wave it out to your plank. Move those legs if you need to widen your plank. Left side knee towards the chest, and then out to the side like tree. Back to the chest, back to downward facing dog. Wave it out, plank, knee to chest. Leg out to the side, back to your chest. Down dog or three-legged down dog, your choice. Wave it out to plank last time, knee to chest. Hinge the leg out to the side, back in. Three-legged or regular down dog, we're all going to end up in full down dog, both feet down on the ground. Look to the top of the mat, walk forward. Keep the knees bent generously, round it up one vertebra at a time. Come up to standing, reach the arms up overhead, hands to heart center. Find balance on your left foot, maybe spread those toes nice and wide as we find some hip mobility on the right side. Knee coming in towards your chest, and then circling out to the side, back down to the ground. Maybe it doesn't touch, maybe it does. Up to the chest, circle it out. Maybe it touches, maybe it doesn't. When you release, one more time, up and out, hold it out, and then kick that heel up towards the sky. Right? And then release down. Yes, I know. But good news, we have another side try. So really ground through the right side, maybe spreading the right toes wide. Left knee towards the chest. Out to the side. We don't have to kick that leg up yet. Release it, touching or not. You're just decide if you need that little bit of balance. Knee up, out, and down. This time, knee up. Keep it out and cock that heel towards the sky and release down to the ground. Take a nice deep inhale and exhale. Spread your feet about hip width apart. Let's bring hands to the hips, opening the chest into a back bend standing here. Pull the elbows together, shoulder blades together, chest high, belly in. You're already in a back bend. Maybe you release the head. Stay for a breath. Maybe you push the hips forward as you take your standing back bend a little deeper. Use the strength of your belly to help you come upright, heel toe the feet together, hands to heart center. We're stepping back to our high lunge. Again, we want the right foot forward, so left leg coming into our warrior three. Step softly to the back of the mat, high lunge. Let's reach the arms overhead, maybe hands together, maybe not, and pull that right hip bone towards the front of the mat. Where those hips. Release your, that's the left side, right? Release your right hand down to the ground and take a side stretch, really opening that side body. Belly up and in. Back to center, reach the arms up overhead. We're dropping that back knee. You can bring your hands to the ground to soften that or drop right down to that knee. You guys decide. Inhale, let's bring the arms up overhead. Pull that left hip forward. Side bend again towards the right. Reach the arms up overhead. And let's sink further into this low lunge so that we're going to bring our hands to our hips or heart center and let that front knee bend even more as you sink down in here and stretch into your hips. So automatically my hips want to start to open up, right? I'm going to think about bringing this hip bone down towards the ground or towards the top of my mat. Pull the belly up and in, and if this feels okay on your back, you can reach the arms up overhead again. Inhale here. Exhale, maybe cactus the arms. Release your hand down to the ground. step back into your downward facing dog. We're adding on this round. First, we'll wave it out to plank. Hug the knee in towards the chest. Take that leg out to the side. Come back to your three-legged or down dog. One more time. Wave it forward, plank, knee in. Leg out to the side. Three-legged down dog. Everyone meet us in three-legged, so bring that right leg to the sky. And then bring your foot to the top of the mat, or your pigeon leg to the top of the mat. Drop the back knee, both knees bending, so we end up in that that 90-90 pigeon that we started class in. Oh, take a breath, right? Inhale, lengthen your spine. Use your hands where you need to find that length. And let's come over the front knee, over the right knee, chest headed towards that thigh. Come back up. Maybe we keep our feet approximately where they are as we rotate around into that mobility. When you find the other side, we're going to hinge over the knee. Come back up. Take it the other direction, coming back to the top of the mat. This time we're headed towards our foot as we come forward. It might not feel the same. The angle we're headed. Come back up. Same thing, backside. Here we go. How are those hips doing? And then towards the foot, folding forward. Come back up. Back to the top of the mat. Here you go. Let's play around with bringing the right hand to the ground, coming up onto the right shin and opening up, right? Just because we need to open and play. Bring it back down to the ground, hands to heart center or as tall as your spine can get. One more time, hands to the ground, open up. Yep. Back to the ground, surround your front knee, curl the back toes. Let's step back to plank, top of our push-up. Hold it. 3, 2, and 1. Bring hips high, downward facing dog. Wiggle it out. You know what's happening if your down dog feels like a rest, yeah? Reach that right leg to the sky, three-legged. Step to the top of the mat. We're going to open up into warrior 2. So reach the back heel down, front knee is nice and bent. Warrior 2. Your gaze will traditionally be towards me, but I want to look at y'all. So that front knee is going to track toward the pinky toe side, opening that front hip. And then think about grounding into the outside edge of that back foot, opening the other hip as well. Flip the front palm, peaceful warrior. And then straighten that front leg, hands to the hips, turn the feet, outside edges parallel. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, fold forward, wide leg fold, softness in the knees. So that might be a tiny bend or a big bend. All right, y'all, hands to the ground somewhere. Halfway lift up so that you can look at me. Keep that back lift, and I want you to find some back and forth motion in your hips here. It might be tiny, it might be micro, it might be long. You decide if you're going to stay upright and long in the spine like this, or if you're going to start to fold forward and still get that movement in your hips side to side. I'm doing like a micro bend in my knees, but if I couldn't reach the ground, I'd bend more. Everybody come to center. Take a nice inhale. Exhale. Hands to the ground to support you so you can come halfway up. Bend the knees as much as you need to. Hands to the hips, come all the way up. Turn towards the top of the mat. High lunge, top of the mat. That back heel off the ground. Reach the arms up overhead. Come on, sink down into that high lunge. We've been really opening up. You might cactus the arms here. You might shift your gaze up into a bit more of a back bend. Reach that back hamstring to the sky. Come back to center wherever you're at, hands at heart center. Step back to the top of the mat. Deep inhale. And exhale. Other side, let's get it done, right? The right leg is coming up, so we're working that left side. We're in warrior 3. We'll do a soft step to the back of the mat. Always you have the option of not reaching overhead, but if you'd like, you can reach overhead. Really reach that back hamstring to the sky and square that right hip bone forward. side stretch to the left, so the left hand can come down. Open up that right side body. Come back to center before you drop that back knee, hands to the ground or not. You just decide what's best for you. We're going to stay at 90-90 first. Pulling that right hip forward, reach the arms up overhead. Side stretch to the left again. Belly fold in. Come back to center, hands to the hips is where I kind of like them to be as I sink into my front knee so that I can think about pulling my chest upright, belly pulled in. So I want a long spine instead of sort of this, right? I could be here or I can think about being long. Subtle, but it's there. Are you breathing? I'm barely breathing. Maybe you'd like to reach your arms up overhead. Maybe you'd like to cactus your arms. And then we'll bring our hands down to the ground and step back into downward facing dog. Wiggle it out, move it out. Wave it out to plank. Thigh towards ribs. Out to the side. Back to down dog or three-legged down dog. Wave it forward to plank. Thigh to ribs. Out to the side. Down dog or three-legged. One more time, wave it forward, out to the side, down dog or three-legged. If you're not in three-legged, bring that left leg up to the sky, and then we're stepping forward or moving forward into that pigeon knee. 90-90-ish. I don't want to be facing away, so I'm going to turn around. Inhale, lengthen up. We're headed towards the same knee first as we fold over as far as you're able to go. Take a breath. Come back upright. We're twisting around. We're trying to keep those legs down on purpose as we move into mobility in those hip joints. Lengthen the spine first. Fold over the knee or the thigh. Come back upright. Back towards your center and then to the front of the mat. Lengthen the spine towards the foot, right? It's going to look different for all of us. Good. Back upright. Take it to the back of the mat. First find upright, make the adjustments you need, and then fold towards your heel. Coming upright, twist back around. And yes, of course, we get to play with this on the other side. Left hand down to the ground. We're going to hover onto that shin, maybe lengthening out the back leg, maybe not, right? It might be a little hover. That leg is working, opening up. Have a seat. Maybe try it again. The first time you were like, what? Maybe we try that again. Okay, release down, surround the front knee, adjust if you're off the mat like me, and let's step back to plank. I'm gonna wiggle that plank out a little bit. Hips high, downward facing dog. Left leg to the sky, three-legged. Step to the top of the mat. Warrior two, back heel comes down. You're squaring your ribs toward the windows. Front knee opens toward the pinky toe side. Think about reaching into the outside edge of your back foot. Flip the front palm, peaceful warrior. Straighten the front leg, hands to the hips. Let's turn the outside edges of the feet towards the top of the mat, the side of the mat. Same thing we did on the other side. First, lengthen the spine open, fold forward, hands on the ground, bend your knees as much as you need to get those hands on the ground. Inhale, half lift. Let's start here as we find that hip movement back and forth, side to side. And then as you feel, you might like to fold forward into that, but only if that feels like it's right for you. Let's come to stillness. Come part way up, bend the knees as generously as you need to, hands to the hips, come all the way up. You're gonna turn towards me, top of the mat. think the left leg is forward. Oh, high lunge, yeah. It is now. All right, think about that right hip bone coming forward. Reach the arms up overhead. Maybe you sink down into the front knee, that back hamstring reaching to the sky. Perhaps you cactus the arms and come into a bit of your back bend here. Chest really reaching to the sky. Come upright first, hands to heart center, step to the top of the mat. Nice deep inhale and exhale. Okay, I'm at the side of my mat, but I'm gonna have you all step over to the right. Yeah, so that you're at the edge of your mat. Yeah, there we go. I like it. Okay, let's see if I get the right and left correct though now. I'm probably not. It's gonna be your left side. You're gonna reach that left leg up, out. Oh, here's our challenge. We're gonna step out to the side and sink down into a squat so our feet turn out. You can stay in a small squat or a low squat, you decide. We're gonna come back upright. Watch that right foot as you turn. Come back to the center, bringing the knee up, and then release down. Now you know what we're doing. You can do it easier, right? Right leg up, out, step out, turn the feet, squat, you decide how low. Come back up, turn the foot, bring the leg back to center, and then step it down. One more time, I mean, you're just getting good. Right leg up, out, down and out, squat. Make sure those feet are moving so that the toes are pointing the same direction as the knees. Back up, back to the center, release, make your way to the other side of the mat. Left, no, right side, yeah. Knee in, out, hold it there for a second. Step out, turn the feet out, squat. We've already been squatting, so maybe you're gonna squat back and forth a few times, a little moving around. Back upright, back to the top of the mat or wherever you're at started, and then release. 2 more times. Up, out, make sure your feet are turned, squat, do what you need in your squat. Back upright, back to the middle, and down one more time. Back to the middle, and we'll meet standing in the middle of our mat, hands at heart center. Take a nice deep inhale and exhale. Feet together or a bit apart, whatever feels best for you. Let's reach the arms up overhead, and then on our exhale, fold forward, bending the knees as much as you might need to so that your hands can come to the ground a little bit. Let's take a little sway side by side. We open up our back the opposite direction we've been going in. Maybe tuck your chin towards your chest or let your head nod around. Be heavy. Bend the knees generously, round it up. Really let your spine round as you come up. This is our opposite movement to all these back openings we've been doing. Reach the arms overhead, nice and gentle. Hands to heart center. We're gonna flow again. We're gonna add on. Left foot reaches back first, warrior 3. Drop that left hip down a bit. And step back into your high lunge. Reach the arms up overhead, back hamstring reaching to the sky, pull the belly in. Super tall spine, and then sink down another inch. Bend the left knee a teeny bit, and then straighten it out right there. And a teeny bend, and straighten. Don't do that if it's no good. A teeny bend, straighten, side bend over to the right. Come back to center, drop the back knee. Remember, we can always have the hands down for support or drop it straight down. Reach the arms up overhead into our low lunge, and let's really sink down into this low lunge, but pull the belly in. Side bend over to the right. Back to center, and we're finding a back bend in this low lunge. That might mean we simply look up. We can point our hands back or cactus the arms, finding something that works, right? Might still make us grimace for sure. Also, we're finding balance. One more breath. Come back to center, hands to heart center, twist to the right. Let's open up into a twist, outside of the elbow maybe coming, or hand coming to the knee. Yes, that looks good. Press your knee into your arm, arm into your knee. Press arm into knee, knee into arm. Press, press, press. Pull the belly in. Right. Back to center, release the hands. Step back to downward facing dog. Just make your way there when you're ready and wiggle it out. Wave it out to plank. Knee to thigh, leg out to the side like tree. Keep it there as you come back to down dog or release it. Now release it and reach it to the sky. Wave it out to plank. Knee to chest. It's okay if it doesn't all look the same as everyone else. Out to the side like that tree. Take it back to your down dog. Ay, ay, ay. And then three-legged down dog. We'll all meet there, right leg to the sky. Come forward for that pigeon. This time we're going to come into a more traditional pigeon, but that's not easy, right? Not easy. All right. Yes. Yes. Looking around. Okay, so we'll try to sit on that right thigh a bit. Yep. Let's see everybody else. All right, here we go, gang. We are going to work on bringing that back leg forward. Maybe it's, hey, it doesn't touch, maybe it does touch. Maybe your hands are on the ground, maybe they're not. It all depends on where we're at. It might look a great deal like this, right? Okay. It might. We gotta take it back. It might look more like no hands, no hands, no touchdown when you get here, and then back. But you're gonna do it your own way, whichever is correct for you, and just go back and forth about 3 times. I know. So we're asking for not only the flexibility, but the mobility in our hips. Some of you might be able to be in pigeon and lift that back leg up, but I can't do that. Okay, I don't know where we're at in numbers, because of course I don't. So next time you bring that leg forward, we'll keep it forward and give ourselves a hug. So we'll unwind and we'll be thankful that we've made it here. Yeah. Oh, little core challenge. Don't worry, I didn't forget about core work here. Okay, so we have lots of options. We might have our hands behind us. We'll eventually bring our legs straight, or we might have our hands off, or you might prefer to be on elbows, you decide. And we'll bring the right leg up. No hands, we're gonna try to cross. Bring it back and down. Left side. Just keep going until you get to 100. Why do you guys laugh at that? Right? We're all not just terribly stronger than you. We just have more flexibility to be able to hold up and not have arms back there. Is anybody feeling a burn yet? Okay, keep going, keep going. Nobody?
Yes, we are.
Oh, Ruth finally admits, Okay, then one more time each side.
Oh, you did both?
And then release. Well, that's okay, because you can bet I'm going to come back to that. So we'll even you out on the other time. All right, some of you are not going to want to have your legs out straight. So you're going to bend them as you need and then fold over. And some of us are going to have legs straight and fold over, right? Take a nice deep inhale and exhale. And we're gonna make our way back to downward facing dog. So if you know how you wanna get there, then do so, or we're gonna cross, come over and step back, or we're gonna turn to the side and crawl or jump or however we're gonna get there. Right leg to the sky, three-legged bend and stack, open up. And then bring your foot to the top of the mat, warrior two. Remember those alignment cues. Where is the knee tracking to? Peaceful warrior. Come upright, straighten the front leg. Don't sink forward though. We're going to turn the feet out and head into our dog. Look at your feet turn all the way out to the side. Don't worry about it. Wait, let me try that a little bit. So, right, our feet might turn different ways. Why am I facing on this way? All right, let's everybody think about, and you might even do it with your hands, pulling your knees towards the back, and then letting that release a bit. And then towards the back, and release. Towards the back, sink another inch. Shoot it up, 5-point star. Oh, and windmill your hands down to the top of the mat. Coming into your high lunge from here. So I purposely got you nice and low. Keep those hips low as you reach the arms up overhead. And then maybe you keep reaching as high as you can to the sky as you take that into a back bend. High reach into your back bend. High reach, high reach. Come back to center when you're ready. Step to the top of the mat. Okay. We're more than halfway done. You're doing good. You're doing really good. And another side to do though. Take a nice deep inhale with me. And exhale. It's the left leg's turn to get a lot of attention. Right leg is going to reach back into your warrior three. Think about dropping that right hip, squaring your hip. Oh, think about holding your balance better than me. Step back softly, high lunge. When you're ready, reach those arms up overhead. Pull that right hip joint forward a bit. Sink down, back hamstring to the sky, belly in. All these things, yeah? And then side bend over to the left. Still keeping all that other. Back to center, drop that back knee, whether you have the hands on the ground or not. In this round, we're gonna allow ourselves to sink in, reaching the arms up overhead, chest high, side bend to the left, back to center, and then take that into your back bend. Perhaps you like to cactus the arms, perhaps it's only tipping the chin up, or maybe you're gonna reach the crown of the head towards your foot. That's beautiful, beautiful, everyone. Come back to center, and we're gonna find a twist out of here, kind of opening up, whether the forearm is on the leg, or you can hook the elbow. We're opening into our twist, and then think about pushing the knee into the arm into the knee. Push. Come back to center, release the hands to the ground, step back to your down dog, get there however you need to, and wiggle it out. Wave it out to plank. We might keep the tree posture once we get there, remember? Left knee towards the ribs, out to the side. Maybe you keep that leg as you come into your down dog, or not. We'll wave it out to plank again, knee into the chest. Leg goes out to the side, very nice. Sweep it into that three-legged or not. One more time, plank with the knee in, out to the side. Sweep it up to three-legged, where we'll all meet up. If you went to down dog, bring that left leg high, and then bring your leg forward for your pigeon. Yep. Oh, 99. Yeah, no. Yeah. Good thing I saw y'all. Okay, this is the one where we sweep forward. Whew, right? As many hands or not as you need. We're bringing that back leg forward and back. Maybe you feel it's best to have hands, even if you can do it. You get a bigger stretch. That's up to you. Take what you need. Challenge yourself how you need. Unfortunately, we're not going to magically open our hips today, so it's okay if it's not quite as far as we wish. All right, and then when you bring your leg forward this next time, keep it forward and give yourself a hug. Just reward yourself for making it here. Okay, Azita only did the other side before, so we have to do the same exercise. Hands back, elbows back, hands off or not. You can decide if you're gonna go a little further and hover the bottom leg or not, right? That wasn't my intention, but I knew Amy needed something else in the back. Yeah, she's making a switch. And cross. Right. Good. Lonnie, see if you can relax your shoulders up on it. They were way up there. They were like getting ready to fight you. How many more do we need to do?
None.
One more each side then. One more each side. And then we get to come forward. This time let's take our feet into Batakanasana. So that's butterfly or the soles of the feet together. Oh, find that nice tall spine. Let's wave our wings up and down a little bit. Now, not like you're taking flight out of you're in a race. It's like a tiny, I saw everybody's like, yes, here we go. It's like a tiny little back and forth, slow, controlled. They're like, if I do this quick, we'll be out of here. And then if you like, you can begin to hinge forward. Maybe you would like to really round or plain hinge or just stay as straight as you can. Let's make that your own thing. Everybody's doing something a little different, but we're all going to take nice, deep, full inhales and exhales here. Eventually, you'll make your way upright and back to down dog. It's quite a bit of mobility just to come over the knees, so perhaps that's what you're working on, or maybe you're jumping about. That's up to you. We'll meet in down dog. We have just a bit more to do. Left leg comes high, three-legged, and then bend and stack, open that leg up to the side. Bring your foot to the top of the mat. We're coming into our warrior two. If you don't make that foot all the way up there, no worries. That's what we're working on here, is getting some of that mobility. Eventually, peaceful warrior. Straighten the front leg. Which suits you best, goddess or forward fold, wide leg? You decide. Take that where you would like it to be. Goddess is this squat. Folding here in any way you would like to be, because this is our last time doing these things, so yeah. Oh, some people are coming up on their toes in goddess squat. I just thought I'd mention that. Take another breath. So if you'd like, you can come into that 5-pointed star. Opening up. I thought you'd like it. And then bring your hands to the top of the mat. So our left leg is forward. We're in that runner's lunge. We want to keep the hips low as we come up into our high lunge, and keep going into your back bend here. Arms of your choice, right? You're already in a back bend. Belly in to support you. Breathing. And then let's bring hands to heart center before you step to the top of the mat. spread those left toes wide. We're gonna balance on the left leg, bringing the right knee in. Listen up. Out. Bring the ankle towards the sky. Sweep the leg around to bring the foot towards the sky. And then back to neutral, release the foot. Yep. Same side, 2 more times. It's up and in as high as you can make it actively go. Out to the side, keeping it as high as you can. Of course, that knee wants to drop a bit as you bring the ankle up, but you're trying to stay upright. And then sweeping it around, heel is coming up to the sky, sole of the foot, back to neutral and down. I made the same face as all of you guys did. Last one on this side. If our arms move around, that's okay. We're just working to gain that balance, aren't we? And yes, I know you're like, oh, this right side, but the left side working so hard to keep you balanced. Get those wiggles, and then we do 3 on the other side. Leg in, out, ankle up, back around, and then to neutral and releasing it down. 2 more. Ankle. Some of y'all can do that pretty well. And back down 1 more time. If you got a bit of a cramp in your booty, you did it right, yeah? Okay, let's wiggle that out. Right, so today's work really was to work a lot of our back bend into lunge. So I want to take the next few minutes, we should be pretty as warm as we're going to get for that kind of work today, to do your lunge work. So I want you to decide, and maybe you're going to do both high lunge and low lunge. You'll do each side. You don't have to flow in and out of it. You just get yourself set up where you would like it, right? Focus on what you need to focus on. Going into that as far as you need to, taking it into your back bend. I encourage you to find a spot you can hold for 5 breaths. That's likely not our very deepest posture. Right, so we do want to have that bend in the front knee if we can. And then I back up. My heel is really off the ground in that lunge. Right. Sometimes people feel like they get that balance better if they let their heel travel towards the ground, and sometimes better if it's up here. You just decide. When you are finished with your 5 breaths, wherever you can be, repeat it on the other side. Y'all did high lunge, so I feel like I'm going to just give us an opportunity to do that in low lunge also. So, Amy, that looks really good. I see you in the back row there. Everybody in the back row. Right? Take as many breaths as you need in between. And then let's take that into your low lunge, or your grounded lunge, I guess I should say. Get down there how you like. We're not flowing in and out of this one. Instead, we'll be holding those. So you get to decide, are you going to really sink into that? Are you going to stay more upright? What's happening in the spine? What's happening with your arms? You decide that today. Let's all decide to pull the belly up and in though. Support our spines a bit more. After your 5 breaths, take the other side. Maybe you need a little cat-cow between. And when you've finished with the other side, we'll end in child's pose. Good counter stretch. Yes, in my back benders, think about that chest reaching to the sky even as you go backwards. If you don't like child's pose because you don't want to be on your knees or your feet like that, then you can lie on your back and hug your knees into your chest. Nice, Tammy. Take 3 deep, full inhales and exhales. Come forward until you can lie on your belly. Maybe you would like to add a chaturanga into there, or a nice super slow lower. And then open your arms like a T. We'll open up our shoulder joints. This is a nice combo to open up both. I'm gonna leave my right arm out, right cheek to the mat, left fingers tenting next to my body, and then twist my body so that I'm stretching into that right arm. If you bend, generously bend the top leg and put your foot on the ground, you'll also get a nice big stretch into that left hip. But don't keep me from taking you however far you need to go if that's not far enough, but it looks good here. Come back to center. Neutralize for just a moment. And then we'll go the other way. Left cheek to the ground, right fingers tenting, flipping onto our sides to stretch into that left shoulder. And then maybe you bend really generously that top knee so you get a big stretch into your right quad and hip. Come back to center. Coming out of that, we're going to do this again, and you can choose to keep your arms out like a T, or you might try goalpost arms. I do find that stretches my shoulders differently, so come into that with caution, both ways. And then still put your cheeks to the mat and the left fingers down. If you keep that goalpost arm, just be cautious how far you go. It might feel different than when the arm was out straight, and that's because we've added that rotation. Coming back to center. When you're ready, take that the other direction. Each side not created equal. You may find that you need to make some adjustments depending on what side you're on. Come back to center. And then just turn over so you're on your back. We don't have time for a bunch of vinyasing around. So just turn over so that you're lying on your back. Take a nice long body stretch. It doesn't matter which way you're facing, really. Hug the right knee in towards your chest. Use your arms to help hug in. Pull the belly in towards your spine. Release, take another long body stretch, reach the fingers and toes in opposite directions. Hug the left knee in. Release into another long body stretch. Hug both knees in towards your chest. Maybe rock side to side. Massage into your lower back, wiggling out your hips a bit. And let's take this into a rotation. These are our final 2 stretches. So bring your knees over to the right, maybe allowing your arms to open like a T, or perhaps you like to make contact with your body somewhere. Yeah, make that stretch your own, hopefully feeling good into the hip and into the back. So keep it gentle. In your own time, when you've had enough on that side, take your rotational stretch the other direction, adjusting anything you need along the way so that you're comfortable. you're finished, make your way into your Shavasana, your resting posture. So that might mean you're lying on your back flat or with your knees bent. That may feel better for your back. It might mean you prefer to lie on your belly or your side. So take whatever feels nicest to you so that you can release completely. Still lying right where you are, deepen your breath. Take a really deep, full inhale. Maybe let that sigh out as you exhale. Begin finding some movement in your fingers and toes. Perhaps finding a few stretches. When you're ready, turning onto your side so that you can gently come to seated. And if you're faced away from me, just turn around. Bring hands to heart center, or if it's better for your spine or your hips, you'll keep them on your grounded on your legs. We can all take a nice deep inhale together. Exhale together. Thank you all for joining me today. So thankful for this beautiful weather. I'm so thankful for you all sharing your practice with me. Namaste. So as you know, this is like a series that we're doing, and next week I would like to work a bit more on this IT band that's right here, that's so tight in so many of us, including me. And my natural state is to revert back to tightness in this if I don't work on it, which is exactly where I'm at right now. So I thought we would talk about that next week and why that will impact any kind of back bend and or hip knee mobility. Many of the things that we would do to stretch that will be with a grounded knee. So if you have some kind of pad, you don't have to have a fancy yoga pad. It could be a blanket, a towel. You could have an old yoga mat at home that you might like to cut in half and then fold a time or two just so it's not so much. But even without that, we can always just fold our mats, give ourselves a bit more cushion as we spend some time here. And if that doesn't work for you, that's okay. I have an alternative to that too that will still stretch, right? Maybe this week, maybe a few times you sit there and you're watching your TV and you go, oh, remember that crazy thing that crazy yogi was asking us to do? And you just see about, hey, can you get some of that mobility going, right? Crawl it around.